All right, welcome back to another episode of Comedians in Bed. Now, as always, I'd like to give an introduction to our audience out there for our guests. This man right here hails from one of the windiest cities in America, Chicago. This guy is doing big things, man. He just got done filming his comedy special, which I'm sure you guys will be checking out later in the future, and you guys will like it and enjoy it. And one of the things that I like about this guy too, I was asking people around Chicago, like, what mics can I hit? And they told me exactly who to go to ask and get a whole list from it. And this guy like had like it was probably like over 50 mics, which is overwhelming for me from where I'm from. We don't only have like one mic a day. So for him to do that to me for a complete stranger, I was like, okay, we got to have him on the podcast. Please, everybody, let's welcome in Brian Rowe to the show. Brian, what's going on, man? How
How's
you
it
doing?
going, man? What's going on? How are
I'm
we?
I'm doing good, man. How was your day today?
This is good. I just worked my day job.
So you still work a day job and still do comedy at night?
Yep. Yeah. I construction management during the day,
Okay,
and then
okay.
comedy every night.
Yeah, man, that's exciting. I want one of the things that I did notice about you is that you actually, I don't know if we would consider ourselves rivals, man, but you went to Purdue and I went to
I
Ohio State.
I did, in fact, I did go to Purdue. Boilermakers. Yeah, I have an engineering degree from there.
Yeah, man. How was your experience at Purdue? It seems like it's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it kind of is. They actually kind of have a comedy scene developing down there. I'm popping back down there in a few weeks to do some shows, but no, it was interesting. That's where I started doing comedy at, actually. Coffee out. There's like a coffee house I did open mics at.
Hmm.
But no, it was cool. I mean, it was just another. It was a Big Ten college. Drank,
Yeah.
partied, studied occasionally.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
don't know how I have a degree. Looking
Yeah.
back on it, I was like, I skipped a lot of classes.
Hey man, that's how I feel about Ohio State. Like I transferred in because that was like the only way that I could get accepted.
Yeah,
Because like early on, like when I was young, like Ohio State, it was very easy to get into. But then like as soon as I got in high school, they made it like the Harvard of public schools
yeah,
for whatever reason. So I graduated with 2.0 on the dot. Like I
yeah.
stayed by.
I had like a 2.6 or something. Yeah, I was like, once I got there, I was like, whatever. Because like
Yeah.
high school was so easy. It was like high
Yeah.
school, I just kind of slept through. Like literally, I think I slept through like most of my classes, and I still like got A's in high school. But then I got to college, I'm like, whoa, what's going on here?
Right. Right. Were
Like
you born?
you
Were
gotta
you?
come in. You
Yeah.
gotta come into office hours. I'm like, I'm working a day job, man. I can't come into office hours. I'm working at the rec center.
Man, office hours that's yeah, that saved my life right there. Office hours.
What'd you study?
Sociology.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I started off in communications, but I ended up in sociology. So were you born and raised in Chicago?
I was born here. I was raised out in the burbs.
Okay.
Yeah, I was raised out in the western suburbs, Bartlett to be specific.
Yeah. So when you
Yeah.
got to Purdue, what made you say, you know what, I'm gonna go for this dream or just do it because it looks easy? Like what made you want to get up there?
I started like so. It's kind of like a long thing. I wrote my first joke when I was like in the 8th grade. I wrote it. I was in New York with my aunt, and it was just like an idea I had. And then like I was like, Dane Cook was really big at the time, and I mean this kind of sounds like I don't mean for it to sound bad, but it almost does. But like I watched Dane Cook do stand up, and I was like, oh, anyone can do stand up. And it's not like I don't mean it like insultingly, like because like
Yeah.
it was just like when I watched like because I grew up like watching Pryor and Murphy and like Carlin with my dad, and it was always like, oh, those guys were like something special. But with
Right.
when you watch Dane Cook, it's like, oh, this is just a guy. And it was like, oh, you could just be a guy and talk. I was like, I didn't know that. I didn't know that was allowed. I was like, I thought you had to be like, I thought you had to be this unique thing. And it was like, oh, he's just a dude from Boston. Which I mean is what you want. You want to be presentable to people. I think is
Yeah.
like the best way to be as a comedian. So I mean, that just made me realize like anyone could do it. And then I started like writing joke. I wrote like a couple of jokes in like the 8th grade, and then I really didn't like think about it anymore until I was like senior in high school. I got cut from the basketball team. I was sitting around. I was like, what am I gonna do with my free time? I was like, I
Yeah.
put everything into sports. I was like, turns out being a 6 foot, not even 6 foot at the time. I hit 6 foot in college. Not even a 6 foot white guy isn't the best thing for basketball. Turns out just being able to shoot threes at the time, just shooting threes wasn't the game. It was
Yeah.
if I was playing now, I probably would be the leading scorer at that school because that was all I did. I was like, I'll just shoot threes.
Yeah.
Like, you need to drive. I'm like, no, just shoot threes. It's worth more points. Yeah, no. So I was sitting around, I remember, with some friends talking shit. And one was like, you should be a comedian. And I was like, oh, yeah. I wrote some jokes when I was in the 8th grade. I'll start writing things down. So, like, all senior year, I wrote things down in this notebook. And I got to college and saw there was an open mic. And I was like, oh, I'm going to go try this out. And at the time, I was so naive. I was like, I did an open mic, went okay. The first one, the second one was like crazy. It was like packed. I'm like, it went really well. And I was like, next week I'm gonna be on Saturday Night Live. I'm like, here it comes. I had no idea how much work you had to put in to get to even any little bit of success.
Right. So how many years have you been putting into the game?
On Thursday it'll be 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
Over a decade, man. That's what's up. Yeah, that's what's up. Now, you said that you watched George Carlin like growing up. Did you happen to catch his documentary on HBO Max?
I started watching it. I watched like the first, like, it's split into parts. So I watched like the first part, and I never caught up on watching the second part.
Yeah, they're very, very long for sure.
Yeah.
But I was like astonished to like see his transformation. Like,
oh yeah, how he changed from like that that real like yuppie kind of like dressed up nice. I mean, prior to the same thing too, though. Like, if you look at Richard Pryor, he started the same way, kind of. That was like, because that was like how you got booked for like TV gigs back then.
Yeah.
Then I was kind of like, I think they both. I mean, psychedelics definitely played into both of those if you do any research on it. But then like they kind of like came to, it was like the whole like 60s hippie thing. They're like, oh wait, this is like old generation comedy, and it doesn't really flow with who I am as a person. I mean, I think if you don't really match who you are as a person, it doesn't come across as being really presented correctly.
Right.
It always seem off if you're not really like who you are in some respect.
Yeah. And I think people are always changing. People are always growing, and it's cool when you do that and reflect that in your art too.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I think I mean that is a good way to put it too, because they changed as people. I mean, they were very different people from where they started to where they finished. I mean, I think they both were in the armed forces at one point. And then like, because I guess that's kind of what you just did back then, and then it was like, comedians and counterculture happened, and it was like, well, I'll lean into this part because I kind of align myself more with that. And I think that ultimately ended up making their careers, because if they would have just stayed guys in suits, they wouldn't have been anything.
Right. How have you changed as a comic from where you first started to where you are now?
Oh my God, I was so ass when I started. Like, I have the tapes. I go back and watch them sometimes. It's crazy because when you start, like when I started, I was 18. So like I didn't like you write about like what you know. So it's funny watching like new people start and be like, I remember being in that phase when I just wrote about porn and fucking and not having sex and all the things that like an 18-year-old would come up with, where it was like, oh yeah, back when I had no idea how life worked. Yeah.
No, I definitely understand. So 18. So what year were you when you started comedy? What year was that? 11 years ago?
2011.
2011. What kind of things were going on? Like, what kind of popular music? 2010 Ashanti and stuff
so
like that.
I remember like, because it was crazy, because it used to be like you write like things about porn, and then like things that like when you start, you like try to just be shocking because you don't really get it. I remember the whole thing with fuck, this is terrible, with the Penn State thing happened around then.
Yeah.
And then the with the whole with the coach, I can't remember the guy's name. Fucking whatever
Jerry
it was. Sandusky, yeah, that's it. I did like a whole I had like a thing I wrote where I was like it was like a modern day Fear Factor at the time. I wrote, I'm like, shower time at Penn State. That's a scary thought. And then I did one where what was the other? The lady who I'm blanking on her name. She Casey Anthony was happening at the time too. Yeah. I remember it was like quiet and like this open mic when I was doing. I was like, you guys are Casey Anthony my dream right now, but with the silence. I was like terrible things to say, just trying to be shocking, but like
man, those bombs are horrible.
Oh my God,
it's like your worst bomb story.
Oh man, I don't even. That's tough. Because I've sat through plenty of just empty, quiet rooms where no one's laughing. I've had those. trying to think. I don't really know if I've had. If anyone's told me I suck while I'm on stage, I have blocked it out mentally.
I think
I remember in college I was making jokes about fraternities, and there was like a bunch of frat bros sitting at a table. I'm like, these guys are gonna kick my ass. I was like, I probably should stop. I'm trying to think though. I can't think of anything that like really. There's been a lot of like just silence, which I
yeah.
mean you get used to after some point, and it doesn't even hurt. There has been. Oh, there was one I remember. I was coming off like a run of shows I did that were like really hot, and then I did this one room, and it was like everyone in there was like super like progressive and shit. I don't know. It seemed like they just didn't like me, and it like was so quiet that it was funny to me because I was like, dude, I just did all these. I did like a bunch of shows that went really well, and now it's dead silent. I'm doing the same fucking jokes. Yeah. And it was like actually hilarious to me, like how quiet they were. And the dude who went up after me, I don't even know who he is. I haven't seen him since, but he was like, he was this flamboyant gay dude. It was hysterical. Yeah. He goes up, he goes, "You guys all suck." Like that guy was funny and he's kind of hot. And I'm like, that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said about me. I was like, you're my new favorite comic.
Oh man, that is hilarious, man. I remember this one time I bombed. It was like at a restaurant, you know, a little bar on the side and all that type of stuff.
Okay, yeah.
And it was this mic had just like started. It was a new mic, and I was in there and I was just freestyling. I was like, I hated my dad. Like, I hate the fact that my dad gave me bologna sandwiches as a kid. Because once I got older and I found out what's in bologna, I'm like, how could you feed your kid like that?
Yeah.
And this dude, like, so I'm like this way, and he's like pointed this way, looking at the TVs and stuff. He don't even look at me. He's just like, at least you know your daddy. I'm like, what?
That's hilarious to say, though. That's a funny ass thing to say.
I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't even know what to say back. So this one audience member is a lady. She was like, "But that don't mean he had a good dad." And I was like, "That's right. That's right." What's she saying? That's right, man. Yeah, that bomb was crucial. That bomb was crucial.
There's always some. I'm trying to think what else. That's a good one. I just saw. So shit. What was this guy's name? Let me look real quick. I posted on Instagram. This dude on Instagram posted this video at a sports bar.
Mm-hmm.
It was during like the playoffs, like so like the baseball MLB playoffs is going on, and there's a shitload of people cheering, and there's just stand up going on outside this bar, and I was like, God, dude, stand up comedy and sports bars are a match made in the greatest depths of hell. Yes. If you ever try to do stand up at a sports bar, it's not even. It's like you're performing to emptiness. Like fucking, it's just people watching. Like they're just watching a game, and you're like, "Why are we here? Like the bar can't be making money off us. There's no way any money is being made from me being up here."
Right. So what's one of the weirdest, like maybe not weirdest, but probably like coolest places like you done comedy? Because growing up, we always seen it like in the theater, in a comedy club, but it's getting better now.
Well, I mean, we had the whole COVID era where I was doing shit outside. I've done it in so many parks now, like many parks and fucking rooftops and. I've done a few cool rooftop spots. Those were neat. Let me think what else. I mean, it's always nice doing the clubs. Like there's certain clubs that just rip. Like Zany's Chicago is amazing. Yeah, that's a great spot. I mean, that's just a cool spot to do comedy. I'm trying to think where else. I've done it in like some random ass. Oh, I did it in a barber shop in Philly. That was awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a really good show. It was there's these shows called Don't Tell. You know Don't Tell? Yeah. I did Don't Tell Philly, and the one I did was at a barber shop, and that was sick.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good, man. That's good. What so now you live in Chicago, so like you guys take your sports like very seriously there, right? So let's see. You already got I'm gonna take the Bulls and the Bears. If one team had to go, which one would you choose?
The Bears.
The Bears?
Yeah, they've only won one championship. And they've been around for hundreds of years.
You guys take it seriously out there, man.
Yeah, dude. I'm not erasing Jordan's legacy, dude. Fuck that. Bulls till I die. The Bears could disappear tomorrow. I'd be like, well, man, they sucked a lot. I don't know.
That is true. Do you think they'll be missed from being downtown if they move out to the suburbs?
Oh, they're 100% going to move, and no, they won't be. They won't be just because A, it's kind of a pain in the ass to get over there, and B, Soldier Field is like ran by the park district.
Mm-hmm.
So they rent it out from the park district, and the park district doesn't do a good job taking care of it. Like the
Oh, okay.
field fucking sucks.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
mean, if they move to like a brand new stadium, also it sucks that it's outside. It's like
Yeah.
freezing cold here. The fact there's no roof over our stadium is insane. Like fucking Dallas is in a dome, and they're
Yeah.
fucking. It's like 90 every day. I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, you guys could just be outside.
And you're like right there by the river too.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, man.
here is awful. You're off the lake. It's fucking freezing. I've been to games where I've just been sitting there like, I don't like this. Why do we pay for tickets? You could just watch this at home. They're getting shit kicked out of them.
Yeah, that's true loyalty right there. If you go into a Bears game outside in the wintertime,
Oh, yeah, dude.
for sure. How's the atmosphere when you guys have Blackhawk games? Because our soccer team here in Columbus, I mean our hockey team here in Columbus sucks.
Oh, who is it? The
I don't even remember the name. The Blue Jackets. They
Blue
suck.
Jackets. Yeah, I was gonna say the Jackets. Yeah. No, I love the Blackhawks are great. It's a fun time because like it was weird because like no one talked about it when I was a kid, but that was because they weren't on TV because like they had terrible owners
Yeah.
who like had no idea what they were doing and like they refused to put them on TV, which is insane
Right.
because they thought it would hurt ticket sales. But then the second they put them on TV, it boosted the shit out of ticket sales because it increased visibility, which obviously, but and also people want to be on camera.
Yeah.
But so like yeah, I've gone to a bunch of Blackhawks games. I had a friend who played actually for the Hawks.
Mm-hmm.
In Ostroza. He grew up in my town, so we used to go watch him play. And now actually Scott Darling, he was one of their former goalies. He played on one of the championship teams. He's a comedian now here in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, no, Blackhawk games are awesome. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
they're fun. Yeah, they're a fun time to go to. It's cool because it's not cold in a arena when there's like when you're watching hockey, you're like, oh, it's gonna be cold. It's like, no, it's just fucking it's cold down there, not up here.
Yeah. So when you guys so coming from Chicago, like doing
Yeah.
comedy, you go to another city and they say you're from Chicago. Do that like
Yeah.
put added pressure knowing you're coming from like one of the top comedy cities in the US?
Not really. I mean, I don't think it really adds pressure. I think it adds. I mean, there's definitely like I think it helps like on certain shows because like it's like, oh wow, we're going to see a bunch of Chicago comedians. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
I've had those where like people build it as like Chicago comedians and like it helps bring out audience. And then yeah, I mean, once you've been doing this long enough, it's kind of like, all right, just go up there and do your thing. There's no reason to be nervous just because they build you from Chicago. I mean, yeah, I mean, like you wouldn't like fucking headliners at the Cellar don't get nervous because someone says they live in New York, you know?
Yeah. No, I understand. I actually came out there last month and did comedy up there for the first time. It was cool. I had fun.
Yeah.
I hit the Red Room.
Red Room? Okay.
Yeah,
That's way north, way west. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you like? So I was watching your jokes, and one thing I noticed, like you're starting to post more jokes now, and
yeah,
it comes down even to the little details of like fonts and stuff. And I noticed that you change your fonts a couple of times. Like, how do you choose? Even though it's something so simple and little, like, but it is a part of branding. How did you choose like which font I'm gonna go with to like push this and get this viral?
I mean, it's just I mean, it depends. I normally switch it around depending on the vibe of the video. I mean, I also found that like if it's like a basic text that they could read easier and it's larger, then it works. But I also try to match. I also kind of try to color scheme with like against the background or like against what I'm wearing. So it kind of like flows all into like the visuals, so you can kind of everything matches up. Also, you want to make it so it's visible too. So whenever I pick a font or like color and shit, I always make sure it all like is like clear, so like you can read it. Because also like, dude, like there's people who are deaf and they wanna laugh.
Yeah.
So that's something I think about a lot now. I saw a video on TikTok about someone being like, yeah, it's good to caption your videos not for like for visual like perspective, but also because like there's people who are deaf and like they need to read. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, that's why you should be captioning these.
Yeah. So like is that something you're taking more, I don't want to say seriously, but focusing a little bit more on as a social media aspect of comedy? Because it is starting to become important.
Oh, it's been important. It's not becoming important. It's been important. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying. It's hard consistently producing content's exhausting. I mean, especially if you have a day job. I mean, when it's funny because like now to be a comedian, you have to have like 9 different jobs.
Right.
You have to be like an editor, a promoter. You got to be a self promoter. You have to book your own. You really should be running your own shows really at this point. If you're early on or even like later on, like Ari Shaffir still runs a show, and he's like a nationally touring, headlining Netflix comedian.
Yeah.
So I mean, like you're your own booker, your own headliner, your own promoter, your own agent, your own photographer, your own videographer, your own editor. You're all these things wrapped into one now. So I mean, it's kind of exhausting, and I mean, putting out that consistent content is like is exhausting, and then also I try to get up as much as I can too still, like because I want to be crisp when I'm on stage. Like I don't like the idea of like getting up and like my jokes are flat or my timing's off or my a lot of it's trying to figure out the wording and the tempo and like how I say things. So I mean, I like covering that aspect more. I mean, it's obviously more fun to do more stage time, but it does suck to like have to sit down and be like, okay, I'm gonna edit out a clip. And like really realistically, you should be putting out clips. I mean, if you want to, you should be putting out clips. I think I have a different perspective than most people. So I see a lot of people just posting anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's a good idea, personally. I think that really just hurts what you're putting out because you're not putting out like a finished product. You're putting out something that you kind of half baked together. So I think I really truly believe in working your material, and then once you have it all worked out, then maybe shoot a few things and edit all that. So you got a worked out product, or if you figure out something quick, like something topical that's like in the news or something that you can do. And everybody loves fucking crowd work clips. So if you have those, then that makes sense. But I mean, you definitely have to consistently put things out. It's just the timing of it all is the hard part. I think is like figuring out when you're gonna put things out and like spacing out putting them. Because I mean, there's plenty of people who drop shit every day and it doesn't get any views, and there's people who like space it out for like every month and it does well, or some people are like you should do it every week. I mean, it's just dependent on who you are.
Yeah. How did you learn how to balance the work-life balance? Like you do comedy, but you also got a day job too. How did you balance
Brother,
that out?
I'll tell you when I figure it out. Because my personal life is in shambles, okay? I haven't been on a date in months.
You don't pick up. You don't have like any audience members that give you that wink.
I mean, I've had some hookups, but my dating life is a mess. So like,
Yeah.
and then also like I hardly see like my like non-comedy friends. Like I used to see them all the time, but now I see them like, hey, every few weeks, and it's like, hey, how's it going? It's like, been busy. Of course you have. It's like, of course you have. I'm like, I know. I'm just trying to get there.
Yeah. What? So like, okay, so like you're 11 years in. What gets you motivated to still keep going? Like, what's the goal? Like, what's the goal line?
I mean, I recently come to realize. I mean, like everyone's like, oh, you gotta chase the dream and like get to the dream, but like once you like, I kind of realize like I'm in the dream. Like you're doing it. This
Yeah.
is the dream. I mean, you're doing it, and like the goal is to get like to a point where like okay, it's your job and you can do it every day and you can take time to like focus on all these different aspects. Like I have a shitload of ideas, like TV shows, sketch ideas, movie ideas that I would love to get to. And I mean, the goal is to just get this to a level where it's so prolific where I can just not have to have a day job and I'm like getting paid to do this, and I can reciprocate and then not reciprocate. And I can like basically roll all that money I'm making from that, just doing this into other avenues and then continue to grow it. And just keep doing it and like give other people opportunities like this.
Yeah. So so you want to do it full time for yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and you just did your first comedy special.
Yeah.
At what point did you realize, all right, it's time?
I didn't. So what happened was like this company 4x3 Productions. They're the ones who filmed it. They're the ones who like reached out to me, and they're like, hey, we're shooting a bunch of specials this year. We've seen you on Instagram. We like how hard you work. We'd love for you to be one. And then I was like, well, I thought about doing a special, but like I didn't think about doing it this year. And then I talked to them about it. And like this was back in February, and I was like, well, if I give myself 6 months, I probably could put at least 45 together. So I gave myself 6 months, pieced it out, and then 6 months goes by faster than you think, and all of a sudden I'm filming a special at the Lincoln Lodge, and then fucking I ended up doing an hour on both shows, which I didn't even mean to, but I
Yeah.
mean, kind of happened with the pauses and everything. So like it worked out, and like the material's nice. Although the killer is after you do it, you like your brain keeps writing. So like even the
Mhm.
jokes I did, I've thought of new tags. I'm like, that would have been better.
Yeah.
And then there was one joke where I was like, I forgot to put this in. I was like, I fucking
Yeah.
totally forgot to do this.
Those be the worst when you forget the joke and be
Yeah.
like, dang, but you flowing so good that you don't even realize it till
Yeah.
well afterwards. That's what's up, man. Like somebody contacts you. Like that's a sign that
Yeah.
you on the way to doing what you want to do.
Yeah, no, it's always nice getting booked on things you didn't ask for. Like
Yeah.
when you like someone's just like, "Hey, man, would love to get you on this." It's like, "Oh, thank God, someone thinks I'm funny." Oh my God, I didn't have to beg someone to do their show.
Yeah, man. I haven't asked anybody yet. I think probably like one time, but I'm not there yet. I'm only 3 years in. I'm not saying I'm not confident in it, but I'll be like, you be the judge right now because I'm still learning.
I would say forget that, man. One of the best things I ever heard was from Bill Burr. He was I forget who it was. It was some dude who was standing around at a club with, and he was like saw some dude like smoozing up the booker. And he's like, yeah, he's like, I can't do that, man. And the guy was like sitting there smoking a cigar. He's like, you better fucking learn or you're not going to do this as a job. So like, you got to ask for things you want, dude. That's one of the things. So you said you're 3 years in, so you started 2019.
Yeah.
So you started before the pandemic.
Yeah.
So one of the things I've found, and I don't mean any disrespect by this, but one of the things I found with the comics who started in the pandemic or right after the pandemic is they didn't start with this awareness. Like we all had like an awareness of who there was like a hierarchy of comedy. So it's like, all right, these people are headliners, these people are coming up, these people we're open micing, and like we're trying to get up to this level. And like you had this thing where you thought you like had to be recognized. And because that's like kind of what you're told. It's like, all right, be recognized and appreciated. Then people will give you spots and you can ask for spots. The people who started during the pandemic and after didn't have that structure when they came into it. They were like doing it on Zoom or like they came into open mics when like everyone was just getting back into it. So they didn't have that sense of awareness. So they didn't have anyone being like, oh yeah, you gotta get recognized. They just ask for things. So there's like a bunch of people who like are new who are getting like insane opportunities where it's like, what the, or I've seen plenty of veteran comics be like, what the fuck? This guy just started like a year ago and you guys are giving him these spots. And it's like, and I get the frustration by that, but it's like, well, they did ask. And it's like,
Yeah.
if you just ask for something, I mean, that lack of awareness kind of benefited them.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
for the social structure of comedy, because it was like, oh, they just ask for things. And it's like, oh, wait, you can do that? You can just ask. You could just ask for spots like that? What the fuck? And I was like,
Yeah.
oh. So I kind of am aware of that now where it's like, oh, if you just ask for things, people will be like, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, don't be afraid. Reach out to people for their shows. Send them clips. Just ask and see. Because what happens? They ignore you or they say no. I mean, they're already not doing the show anyways. So I mean, you might as
Right.
well roll the dice and see if they'll put you on.
I just started recording sets. Like if I had a show, I record it. But like
Yeah.
where I go to like open mic stuff like that, I just started like recording like all the time. So
You got a good camera?
yeah.
Yeah, get a good camera. It's important now. I mean, not just for like putting out clips and shit, but also for just filming your shit and like having it archived and also
Right.
having it for like sending to bookers. I mean, that's huge. I wish I'd realized that back in the day. I was filming on my goddamn iPhone trying to send it to bookers like, hey, this is professional. What an idiot. If I can just buy a camera.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
So what's like the vibe or the scene out there in Chicago? Because every like city is like different. Like what's the vibe in the scene out there? Like
Yeah,
Chicago?
definitely. I think Chicago's cool. I mean, it's pretty, I would say for the most part, everybody's pretty friendly. I mean, there's always certain people you just don't fuck with, but like, no, it's a good scene. I mean, there's a lot of helpful people, a lot of friendly people. I mean, any scene you go to, it's kind of like oh man, why aren't I getting booked? Why?
Yeah.
I mean, there's always that. I mean, that's going to be forever. I mean, there's never satisfaction within any medium is hard to come by because you obviously want to be consistently doing it and recognized for doing it. So, I mean, that's just the way it is. So there's plenty of natural, like, there's always bullshit and drama in any comedy scene. But I mean, if you look past that, it's like a lot of good people I've found, a lot of decent, like cool people just to hang out with. And there's a shitload of funny people. There's a lot of really funny people here right now. And I don't know. I mean, everybody calls like New York and LA, the major cities, but I think LA kind of stinks at comedy, if you ask me, from what I hear.
Yeah.
So I think really Chicago's like the number two. It's just we just allow and we could be number one. We just allow New York to little brother us too much.
Why do
Dude,
you
it's
say
crazy.
Chicago over LA? This is the first time actually hearing this. So why do you think that?
Everyone I talk to is like LA comics are just a bunch of actors who occasionally do comedy.
Mm,
Is what I've heard from like a lot of people. I'm like,
yeah.
oh, really? And I know a few LA comics out who are out in LA and they're really funny and good. But then but they started here. So
Yeah.
they have like the Chicago energy and they're doing it in LA, which is different than like people who start in LA are just like, we're just hanging out, man. Just trying to get in a movie. And it's like, all right, my agent told me to go try comedy.
Yeah. No, I get that. I get that. I get that. Do you think if you just do comedy, you should only do comedy, or should you have your hands in other
No,
pots?
I think you can definitely be in other pots. Like I mean, I know plenty of comics here who do sketch shit.
Hmm.
There's some great comics out here who like film sketches and put them out. I think that's good and it's cool. Like if you got multiple talents, use them. But and definitely if you can get in movies and shows and commercials, fuck yeah, that's good money. But
Yeah.
you should stay consistent on the comedy because LA, like you have to drive. I've talked to a few people like, yeah, to do a spot in LA, you have to drive like fucking so far and traffic's so bad. They're not doing multiple spots a night or you're not doing a long set. You're just doing one short set that some guy made you paid $5 to do an open mic at,
Right.
which is insane that New York and LA does that to people where they like make you pay to do spots. But like literally there's open mics in New York and LA where they make you pay to do spots, which is insane to me. But
Yeah, I paid one time. I was like this. It was weird because I'm like, we don't do that in Columbus, but I just thought that
yeah,
was like a major city thing. I didn't know.
I might have done it once. I can't remember. But yeah, no, hell no. Not after having done this for so long now. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so that's the thing. Like I mean New York there's plenty of spots. I mean it's just finding them all and traveling around is the thing. But LA is like it's like there's one or two you can get to within the same night, maybe. So I mean they're not when you're not doing this consistently, I think it hurts it.
Right. 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 So now, um, I want to talk about how you came up. Did you come up with a name for your special? Like, how did you come up with like the idea and like the look of it, like that the production side of it?
Yeah, so I'm gonna name it That's My Vibe because it's a tagline
Hmm.
to one of my jokes that I like. It's a really good punch and it's like right in the middle of the special. And I actually came up with it. I was with a woman seeing the circus. I was zoned out just thinking about my special. I was literally like, she's like, let's go to the circus. I'm like, sure, why not? And I literally was just zoned out, fucking thinking about my special, not paying attention to what was going on. And I was like, oh, that's what I'm gonna name that. I was like, perfect. Yeah, no, so that's how I came up with that. And like everything else was like the place I filmed at was the Lincoln Lodge here in Chicago, which is like an awesome. If you ever get a chance, you definitely gotta come through. It's a comedy club here. It's three different theaters: smaller room, medium sized room, bigger room. It's
Hmm.
a really cool spot where like they like let comics run their own shows. Then they also have
Hmm.
like shows that they run there. And then there's like a super cool bar that all the comics hang out. Just really good people that I've spent a lot of time with. So like we worked it out so I'd film it there, and it just ended up like so the backdrop's kind of just what theirs is, which is like a blue
Yeah.
and red curtain. But like picking clothes for a special turns out to be super hard. Like I had a hard time figuring out what I was gonna wear, and then I just
Right.
started reaching out to Chicago clothing companies, and this company Relish Brand makes some really cool shit, and they hooked me up
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
with like a really good deal on clothes. So I was like, all right, cool, I'll rock this.
How did you feel afterwards? Like, did you feel like the man? Did you feel accomplished? Like, did you feel like this?
I
Okay.
felt high. I felt high as fuck.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie, dude. Like when I was up there, like I was kind of in it, and I like was the first show I wasn't as smooth as the second show. I think I was smoother in the second show. So I did two shows back to back
Hmm.
to film it. The first one I was kind of like I what I did was I taped like my notes. So like I taped like I just wrote out a list of all the jokes and I taped it to the stool and I put my water on top of it so I could whenever I reached for my water I could take a look and see what it was. But like I definitely was checking my notes more in the first one than
Mm-hmm.
in the second one. Like literally in the middle, like this is inside fucking behind the curtain. But I was like at one point I was like looking at my notes. I was like, there's been a long pause. So I was like, I'm checking my notes. We're gonna cut this. I'm making sure I'm not missing any jokes while we're filming. And then but the second one I was really smooth. And then I got off and like it was a lot of my friends and family were hanging out afterwards.
How did the
I just
family feel about it?
good. My parents came. My parents watched both. Everyone commented on how supportive my dad is. Like, God
Mm-hmm.
damn, your dad was just so supportive through both of them. And I was like, yeah, that's my dad. And then yeah, no, and then I just hung out with my friends and drank and chilled. But I was like kind of on like a cloud 9 thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I've had my parents come to my shows.
yeah,
My dad's only been to one show because he got mad drunk and like he was like the audience member that was like talking during the whole like he was talking during my set and I was
yeah,
like and it was a show that I produced and put together and everything. And so once I got done, I was like, all right, dad, you gotta go. Like we gotta kick
yeah,
you out. Like you and my sister, y'all both drunk. We gotta get you out of here. And then my mom, like she's been to like 2 of my shows. But man, it's tough doing it in front of my mom because like
yeah.
she thinks like dick is a cuss word. Like she's like, "Are you gonna be up
Oh,
there cussing?" Like, and I'm just like, "What cuss word are you talking about?"
did you
Like,
grow up? Did you grow up religious?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, checks.
She's super like, yeah,
Your mom
but
would
they both
hate.
supportive.
Your mom would hate me. I say the F word so much.
Yeah,
It's because I work construction during the day too, so I'm constantly around people saying the F word. So
yeah.
like my parents comment all the time, like you say fuck a lot. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. I'm like, I'm around construction during the day and then comedians at night. I'm around the 2 people who still chain smoke. Okay, my whole life is based around the 2 groups of people who still chain smoke and drop the F bomb every other sentence. Yeah,
Yeah, man, that's crazy, man. So
but yeah, no.
what's like your dream stage? Like when you like, what's your
Mm,
dream stage to hit?
that's a good one. I've done all the major ones in Chicago. Zany's Nashville is amazing. If you ever can get down there, I did it on a Monday a few months back. It was
Hmm.
insane. It was like 200 fucking people on a Monday.
Yeah.
That stays ridiculous. I mean, obviously theaters would be the thing. Like arenas don't even really interest me that much because it kind of seems detached.
Mm,
But like Chicago theater would be one. I would love to do a special at the Aragon Ballroom here in Chicago because like it's a super cool theater that no comedians ever do. And it's
yeah.
like badass. I'd love to do it. The problem is they don't have seating though, so you have to bring in seating.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean that would be one. That's probably the main one I want to do. Is that I would love to do. I'd love to do like if I can get big enough and do like a special there, that'd be huge.
Right. So when you do get big enough
Mm-hmm.
and you still gonna be single, what's the tagline to get the ladies? Like, what's
To get the ladies,
how do we get
I
the
mean,
dates?
when you get that big, you don't even need to say shit. You just need to you don't even you just need to exist, my man. You just need to be there, and then it works. I've been saying this. This is funny. I've been saying this on stage. I've been doing this as a joke, but a few weeks back, I was at a bar with a bunch of other comics
Hmm.
by the House of Blues. We actually just like we all were just at watching Chris Stefano
Hmm.
because our friend Adam Gilbert, who's a great New York comic now, he was here before. He was opening for him at at the Chicago Theater. So we went over to this bar down the street, and we were all hanging out. And this woman walks up, and she goes, "Are you a comedian?" And I was like, "Yeah. How do you know that?" And she goes, "Because no one with those fucking ears would be this confident unless they were a comedian." I was like, "What?" I'm like, What are we talking?" I'm like, "They are kind of big, but they're not that fucking." I'm like, "My nose is normally what people insult me on." I'm like, "What's going on?" I was like, "Did someone put you up to this? What's going on right now?"
That was wildly specific, man. This is wildly
Yeah,
specific.
it's such a wildly specific thing to say to someone, but it was actually really funny though. I was really shook. I like didn't know what to say. I was like, "What the fuck is going on right now?"
So I was watching your jokes, and like one thing I noticed, and you might have changed, or it might have been just been the jokes that you posted on there. Like you take your time to get to the punchline, which I love. Like it kind of draws people in. Like, is that like?
Yeah, I mean, storytelling. I do a lot of storytelling, so like when you're telling a
Oh, okay.
story, you kind of got to build towards the punch. I mean, I have some jokes where I just hit right away and
Yeah,
tags. I
yeah.
mean, yeah, definitely. Like if you can, one of the things I've heard Chappelle say is like you shouldn't be afraid of like that silence. when you're building towards the laugh. Because like there's some people who are like, oh, you gotta get laugh, 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 laugh. But it's like, or you could like get a bunch of laughs, have it be quiet, get a big laugh. It's like you could structure it different ways. And I'm learning to do that to like kind of sit in like the joke and just let it build.
Yeah. No, I agree. I love when it's silent. I love it, especially like when they're all looking at you. If it's silent, their heads are down, then you lost them. But if they're
Yeah.
looking at you, like they're waiting to
That's
see what you're gonna say next.
I used to like there was for a while I had a problem where I was talking too fast. I was trying to get like constant laughs, and I was like just fucking talking so fast, just like hitting all these jokes. Someone's like, "Man, you need to slow the fuck down." Like you're saying like you just did like 15 minutes in a 6-minute set. Like that's insane,
Right.
dude. Like you're going way too fast.
Right. So you're still learning. So like, what are you learning like right now that you're like possibly working on?
I mean, there's always learning. I'm learning how to build material back up after filming a special. That's weird.
Yeah.
It's always weird. Like you have these moments where like, did I write my last good joke? Like, am I done? Have I not thought? Will I never think of anything funny again? And then eventually it comes back to you. But like, just learn to write. I'm not really good about sitting down and writing. Like I normally write like as the world comes to me. Like so, like as things happen, or I'll piece things out on stage.
No, I agree. I agree. Yeah, I have those moments a lot, and then they usually happen when I'm high, and I'll be like, all right, it'll pass. It'll come back to you eventually. For sure. So what's like what's a city that you haven't done comedy in yet that you would like to do?
I'm going to New York next month,
Okay.
November 11th to the 16th. I'm gonna be there.
Okay.
So that's one. I've done Austin. I've done Nashville. I haven't done LA. I don't know. I mean, I'll do it anywhere, man.
Right.
I need to get out to. I need to get around the Midwest. I've done Milwaukee. I've done Madison. I haven't done anything in Iowa. I've done a bunch of shit in Indiana,
Yeah.
Michigan. I'm trying to think. I'd love to go down to the South,
Yeah.
like Atlanta.
Yeah.
See what that's about. Yeah, like Atlanta would be cool. They got the Laughing Skull.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I mean, I would just love to see different like parts of the country. You know,
Yeah,
maybe
for
like the
sure.
mountains, like the Rockies and shit. That'd be
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, for sure. So you said you'd also wanted to like write scripts and stuff. Like what's kind of like one of your ideas in your head?
Oh, I got a bunch. I don't know. I got a bunch of shit that's like half written that I need to figure out still. I got a bunch of sketch ideas too. Trying to think. I mean, yeah. I got one idea. It's like a match. It's like a comedy drama. It's like a mattress store. It's a front
Hmm.
for like criminal activities. Yeah, I gotta piece that out. That's one of them.
No, that sound like a hit. That sound like a hit.
Yeah, it's like a TV show idea I have.
Yeah. I have an idea about like just writing like a show that's like docu-style shot, and it's just like being in a writer's room.
Oh
And just
yeah.
like just cutting the malarkey up in the writer's room and stuff like that. Yeah, that's one thing I've been like focusing on right now. Um, Another thing I've noticed, which I also appreciate about you, you dress hella nice on stage. Like
Oh yeah. I mean, I try to look
it's pretty
presentable.
simple, but the simple be the best. Like you
I try
just
to look presentable.
a
I've had
crew neck,
people.
a t-shirt, and some nice shoes.
Yeah, people comment on that. They're like, yeah, you're dressed better. Like my parents are even like, oh, look at you. You don't look like a bum anymore. I'm like, oh, thanks, appreciate it. No, yeah, I mean, you might as well look good while you're doing it. I mean, they're gonna be looking at you the whole time.
Yeah. I always say like it's no matter which room you go to, it's always good to like look presentable so that way because you never know like who's out there watching and stuff like
Oh,
that.
of course, dude. Yeah, I mean, if you look like a bum on stage, people are just gonna think you're a bum.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So
Nothing wrong with looking good. Look good, feel good.
yeah. But no, I did like I said, I mentioned to you earlier, I did comedy out there in Chicago, and
How'd that go?
I felt like it went good. I got the Chicago experience, meaning like he kept saying that there was dudes from the South Side there, but I don't really know if they were. But they were like people back there talking, like every show or whatever. But
Mm.
like, nah, it went really, really good. And I actually like Chicago
Did you
comedy.
just what'd you do, like a Saturday, or what'd you do?
No, I did an open mic on Wednesday.
Oh, the Wednesday mic? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
that's cool. That's a good room.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long were you in town for?
For like probably like 5 days, I think.
And you only did one mic?
Yeah, because it was we weren't going just to go. It was like for my girlfriend's birthday,
Oh, really?
so we had like other stuff planned. Yeah, I know.
The killer. There you go. Yeah,
I was
no.
like, let me try to at least get one, and I tried to get two, but I didn't know what time we was gonna be done with this other activity. So I was like,
Yeah, no. I mean, I give you next time. Next time, I can give you a list.
yeah,
I can let
yeah,
you know all the spots you could hit. I can let you. I gotta let you know the places that were around
okay, okay, okay,
where you were at, and then that
yeah.
way you wouldn't have had to go that far north. Where'd you stay at? Did you stay like downtown?
No, I stayed like no, I stayed like probably like 7 minutes from the Red Room, so I wasn't.
Oh, so you were
Yeah,
waiting. So you were up. You were up north, anyways.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All right. Yeah, there's a few spots over there you could have hit right
yeah.
after that too.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so now that you filmed this first special, like you said, you get back into the groove of writing. What's next? Do you prepare for the second one, or you just build up some more material?
I'm building up new material. I'm gonna try to. I mean, I gotta figure out what we're doing with the special first. I gotta talk to the production company and figure all that out. And then hopefully be able to use that and roll it into like some feature work here. I love to like feature. I need to get feature work at clubs. I mean, that's the thing is like it's nice to be. I love to just be able to go on the road for a bit and do some stuff at like feature and headlining.
Hmm.
I got a few headlining spots I've done. Like I got one coming up. I got one I did last week. So I mean, just to build that like into a name where it's like, oh yeah, he headlines like fucking, or he's like he's like a solid feature. I mean, that'd be nice just so you get consistent work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
And
that's
also, it's just dropping clips and hoping your name blows up.
cool.
That's the game now.
So you guys have like I looked. You guys have 4 comedy clubs out there. Is there
Yeah.
more?
I mean, there's Zany's, Laugh Factory, Comedy Bar. I guess Lincoln Lodge, technically. I mean, it's kind of its own thing. So yeah, I guess those are the 4 main ones in the city. And there's a bunch like out in the burbs.
Okay, 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 okay.
There's like Comedy Vault Batavia, which is a cool ass spot. It's out in the
Hmm.
suburbs. Used to be a bank, and they turned it into a comedy show, like
Mm.
venue.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
really cool. And there's CG's, which is way out in Bolingbrook. And then there's Comedy Shrine's now defunct. It's dead. It used to be out in Aurora, but dead. It went belly up a little bit ago. I'm trying to think where else. I think those are the main ones.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when you do blow up, because you will, like
Appreciate
you gonna
that.
are you gonna stay in Chicago or are you going?
Yeah. Yeah, no.
Okay.
My goal is to make Chicago like, I mean, I don't tell this to most people because like they think it's ridiculous, but I think Chicago should be the number one comedy city. It makes sense. I mean, we're in the middle of the country. Why the fuck
Yeah,
would you want to tour from New York? Why would you
yeah,
want to tour from like one of the most far northeast corners of the country? You should be touring from the middle of the country, and you should be able to move. I mean, also with like social media and everything now, everything's accessible like from wherever you want it to be.
hmm,
So wherever you want to live, you can live there.
yeah, yeah. That is true. That is true. Yeah, yeah. No, I can see it. I can see it definitely. There's a lot of great comics coming out of Chicago now and currently too as well.
No, there's a lot of talent here.
Yeah,
Plenty of talent. I mean, it's just cultivating everything. I mean, people are afraid to stay and cultivate this shit because everyone's told them, "Oh, you gotta go to New York, you gotta go to LA." No, just stay and figure it out. Fucking piece it together. Stop being bullied into like going to live somewhere.
that's so weird to me because my thought is to come to Chicago. Like I plan on moving there in the next couple of years. Like I didn't think to go to LA or New York. My thoughts to come to Chicago.
Well, like everyone says, you learn and grow in Chicago, then you move to New York or LA to blow up, and it's like, no, fuck that. Don't do that.
Yeah,
Come to Chicago, stay in Chicago, get big here, build a brand here. Shit, dude.
yeah,
I'd love to have a production company here where like I set up a studio where you can film shit and like and have writers and TV shows out of it.
yeah. Same goal, same goal. And I think to be honest, I mean Chicago, like y'all slept on a lot, like with music and like
Oh
everything.
yeah.
Like y'all like
Yeah,
the
no.
y'all like the Atlanta of the North.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, no. Dude, yeah, I know a bunch of like rappers out here too. And there's like I'm like, damn, these guys are really good. It's
Yeah,
like no one gives them any recognition because it's Chicago.
Yeah, like I was out there. I had like an audition for it was just like a general audition, and I was like, I didn't know there was that many like movie studios out here. And then you look
Yeah,
up and there's so many like shows being shot there. I never would have thought like people from Chicago are thinking about leaving,
yeah.
when
No,
when you have everything you need, like literally
there's
right there.
opportunity. You just have to find it or create it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is definitely what's up. Brian, man, where can people find you at? If they want to get in contact
Uh,
with you, man,
all
what's your
my
socials?
all my social medias are Brian Rowe Comedy. I streamlined it, and my YouTube's Brian Rowe Comedy, so it's all there. And then eventually, I will have a website. I own the name, but I just keep putting off putting the website together.
It's a lot to do, man. You
Yeah,
literally do everything. It's a lot. You don't have like friends or anything to help, family that do a little
not
something.
really. No, I'll figure it out. I mean, I took some web design courses in college, so I should be able
Yeah,
to do it. Just need to sit around and do it.
yeah. That's yeah. Every day I need to sit down and write that joke. It's just a constant
It's that
sentence. Or
constant. God damn it! All right, it's on the list. I'll get to it. It's that revolving to do list that just keeps spinning
yes,
around.
yes, man. Yes. Before we go, man, can you tell people why they should listen to comedians in bed?
Why? Because the man himself hosted. Look at this. How charismatic this guy is. How can you not love this? How can you not love this podcast? Look at this. Such a likable person asking great questions.
I appreciate it, man. Brian Rowe, man. First of all, I want to thank you again because you didn't have to do this. I appreciate it. Just like you
No,
said
man.
earlier in this podcast, all you got to do is ask. He said yes. We even like changed the date and everything. So I appreciate you for just giving your time and your
No,
energy
man.
to us.
I appreciate you having me on.
And I know you're going to succeed. I know we're cross paths once every time I come back and the next time once I stay there for good.
Yeah,
But I'm so excited for you and your future, man, and the comedy special. I'm doing as soon as you post it, I'm letting everybody know, like, you gotta check this guy out. He's hilarious.
for sure, man. I appreciate that.
No, man, no, you appreciate you for joining Comedians in Bed. Once again, guys, this is Brian Rowe. See you guys next week.